Bye-bye, Mr. Tractor. Bye-bye. And look at that. Mr. Apollo inside that old lockdown area with a big old horsey leg. I know, right? Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Lakai's over there. I don't think that Lakai's like a dum-dum or anything like that, but he hasn't kind of figured out that the leg is here. So, oh, wait, has he? There. Oh, I think he is. What's he doing? No, Lakai, no! He keeps looking at the tractor. Like, where are you going? That's where food is. And it's like, no, no, no. Apollo. Not you. Oh my gosh. These boys are, they're still having to wrap their heads around the whole care feed concept. I guess they're doing pretty good though. Boom, look at this guy. Hi. Oh, you gonna go get it now? It's Lakai's turn. It's Lakai's turn. There you go. Oh my gosh, yeah, punch it. Punch it. Look at him. Ah! Get it, Lakai. Yes. Get it. It's like you stepped into the wrong fucking neighborhood, horse leg. You stepped into the wrong motherfucking neighborhood. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Get it. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. I like it. I like it. Oh my gosh. It's like, alright, this belongs in here. Take him into the back room. Take him into the back room, you know. Show him the knuckles. Hello, all you fancy people. We're getting this Fancycast going on right now. Hi, Rachel. Thanks. You're weird. I want to tell you people some things that I saw earlier. Rachel was she was smooching on Ron Zoobs. She was absolutely smooching on Ron Zoobs. You sit there and think like, oh my gosh, you know, she is the face of Team Teegees. The face of Team Teegees. Yet I walked into the room and, well, guess what she was doing? She was loving on a Raleigh, telling him what a handsome boy he was. And as soon as she turned around, was it Zubiri? Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize. It was so it happened so quickly. It happened so quickly. But here was the thing. I walked in and like she was like, "You're so pretty. I love you so much." And as soon as like she heard the door open and then our eyes locked, like hers and mine, she was just like, she like stopped. She's like, "Oh," and she's like, "I have just been caught doing something. I have been caught." You can't believe anything he says. Oh my gosh! Look at your boy. I think it was you. I think it was you. No, he's upset. He's upset at you for showing affection towards Zubiri. Just saying. Oh my gosh, Boomer, we get it. Boomer, we get it. Jeez. Oh my gosh, see, and this is one thing you gotta realize, is that Slade was never like this, naturally. He became like this because Boomer. I know. One bad apple spoils the bunch. One bad apple spoils the bunch. Slade was actually, you know, when he was little, he wasn't like crazy. He wasn't a lunatic when it came to food. But, you know, after being in enclosure with Boomer for so long, it's just, that's just the rules that they developed. Oh, when food's around, we go nuts. Like, got it. That's how we're going to operate. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So you folks feeling fancy, huh? You feeling super fancy? Hi. I had that top hat and monocle shit going for maybe like 2. And I'm just like, all right, we're not doing this is not going to be the thing. Well, unless actually no, maybe if I just kept it going, that would have just been the thing. And then, but never, you know, sometimes acknowledging it, sometimes not. And it's like, what's the difference? What's the difference between the webcast and the Fancycast? It's like, well, first off, Derek wears a top hat and he swears. That's about it. That's about it. That's about it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, what are we gonna talk about during this one, guys? What are we gonna talk about? Huh? I didn't even think about it. I was just we just got done feeding, and I was thinking like, hey, you know, afterwards we can do some fancy stuff. Hi. He's gonna be crazy. He's gonna have food. A little bit. Not too much though. But then I didn't give really much of a thought. Like, what am I actually gonna, what sort of topics are we gonna touch upon? Hmm? Didn't think it through. After this, hi Shadow. After this, I think I'm gonna go and do a little bit of grilling. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I am just embracing that whole dad thing. Oh, you know, I love it. I do. I love grilling. You go out there, you know, you have them charcoals, got them charcoals going, have yourself a couple of beers and, you know, a cigar. There you go. Oh, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. Zen-like experience. You got to get your temperature, you know, got to have it at least at about 400 degrees. Ooh, hi, sugar pie. Hey there, slugger. Hey there, champ. He's such a dad, I guess. Hi, Taylor. Hello. She's back here visiting. How long are you here for? Or for how long are you here? I'm sorry, I ended my sentence with the preposition. It was awful of me. A week. A week? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Oh, woo, spring break. You know, she's spending her, some people spend spring breaks on top of like a bunch of boats that are tied together, or they're at a beach somewhere. But Taylor, she's covered in blood. That's how she does it. Party time. Fire's like, where are we going? You get back here with that bag of chicken. You get back here with that bag of chicken. So, yeah. It's nice we got a good horse. I mean, when I said good horse, it's like, oh, it's perfect, it's fine, it was great. And like, no, it was getting old and skinny, and it was at the end of its, you know, the sand was running out of its hourglass, I guess you could say. So, you know, but it was one of those kind of things where they get old and then they start losing weight. And then they start getting skinny. They start, you can start seeing their rib cage. But the musculature, the leg muscle was still good. The back strap was still good. And that's like, because you can have it to where they start getting skinny. And then if a rancher is not discerning, and they're just like, I can't make the decision. And then that animal will just keep on getting skinnier and skinnier. And it won't just lose torso musculature, but it'll start losing leg and neck and, you know, like butt muscle, and then it's just really just in rough shape. Because we've actually had like the number of animals, the number of livestock animals that have come in have been you know, fairly up there, but just a lot of just old, dirty, skinny cows. Just old, dirty, skinny cows. Nothing really to write home about. Hi, Chomp. Hi, old fella. That one right there. Don't know how much more time. And don't read into this, basically, like, oh, does this mean that there's something going on? Is there something that you're not telling us? Is there a diagnosis? No, it's just after you just look at it, and I've said this about chompers before, but it's like he's skinny and he's slow, and you just look at him and you wonder, like, man, like, how much more time do you actually have left? But I thought that last year, I remember saying, like, I don't know, chompers is probably just like, hey, just get yourself prepared. And then he just kept on he just kept on going. He just kept going. He was defiant against the angel of death. He put up his middle peat finger. What would a peat finger be? A pinger? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Screw you, death. Not today. Not today, death. He's just been saying that for the past year. It's like, all right, look at these. Look at these bastards. But yeah. Yeah. You know, and oh yeah, we're gonna have to definitely go and see the cats in the upper. I gotta go see the cats up here first. Didn't do that. But we will. Well, sir, I'll have you know that my dollar is certainly should grant me access rights to all of the cats in the compound. Because I know in the Walk Around the Compound webcast, in order to actually keep it tidy, to keep the length of the cast a reasonable amount, more minuscule, I had to only film the lower. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to play some red light, green light. All right. Oh my goodness, look at you. I'm so dead. I am so dead. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you, my child. Bless you, my child. Hi. Hello. How are you? Very nice. Very good. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hi. Yeah. You got a big horsey leg too. It's very nice. I'm sure Melita's inside of her lockdown eating. We're not going to disturb her because she would probably have some very colorful things to say to all of us, and I just don't, you know, the language can definitely get a little bit out of control. It's fine to have a couple things, you know, it's fine to have some flowery language for these for these fancy casts, but I mean, there's a point where it just gets gratuitous. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. You're being a little bit unreasonable right now. Hi. Thank you. Very sweet. Very sweet. Oh. La la. La 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 la. Live for today. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. If the internet will have you believe in any of this stuff. I think that there are more people who complain about vegans than there are vegans who talk about their veganism. She's like, you take that back. It's like, that's beans and turkey, Derek. No, I think so. I do. I think so. That's coming from someone, and I just, it's... Look at the triggered snowflake vegan. And it's like that, you see that where there's more people. I don't know what it is, but they have this kind of hey, I'm part of the Everyman crew, you know, and like, hey, get a load of this unreasonable bum. You know, talking about their whole their ethic. Their approach to food and whatnot. Now, don't get me wrong. You can have people just be just stupid, unreasonable, like shit baggery on both sides. You can have that. I was thinking about that the other day. Because I love going into comment sections. I do. I like, if I see like an online argument, or if I see something that gets posted and it's like, ugh, why would you do that? I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think that it tells an interesting story. I think it also, yes, there's a hotbed for troll behavior, but then it does give you some sort of an idea. It gauges like the temperature, so to speak. Whenever you do that, yeah, you're exposing yourself to words and ideas, and it's interesting. It can be colorful and toxic, absolutely. Comment sections. But I saw something the other day. I can't remember what it was. I don't even remember what it was. I don't remember what platform it was on. I don't remember. But the topic of veganism was part of the video, I think. And then it was like probably like 1/4 of the people were talking about, you know, like that's their thing, and trying to kind of, and I would use the word proselytize. They're trying to kind of proselytize about veganism, but then the other 3/4 of it were just like, ugh, stop trying to put your thing down our throats. Stop trying to, don't tell me how to live my life. And then also, it's the number of arguments that they have about, I don't know, it just kind of got me thinking. I think that like some of the arguments, because it doesn't come from a place, a lot of times it doesn't come necessarily from a place where they want to talk about, what is it? They don't want to talk maybe about and I'm talking about the people who do choose to eat meat. And I'm a person who eats meat. I eat it. I do. But I do try to limit meat consumption. And I also do try to eat things that are a little bit more on the side of ethical sourcing. I don't necessarily like to promote factory farming. It's just not good. It's just not good. Most slaughterhouse practices have gone through a number of significant reforms in the last few years. But it's one of those things, it's like if you can actually support like local kind of meat purveyors and meat producers, like local butchers and stuff like that, absolutely. That's a great way to kind of eat a little bit more, if you are going to be of that flavor and that variety. That kind of puts you into that little bit more kind of humane kind of category. Or if you go out and hunt it yourself. As long as you're actually utilizing proper skills and like you practice, like you target practice, and you don't just go out and just, you know, pew 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 animals. Excuse me. Then yeah, no, there's certain ways to go about it, but yeah. I guess also it's like, but I think that some of the arguments that a lot of people were using for why they eat meat was just like, you know, I get one of the things was like, well, it's an institution that we've been doing, and you're right. No, it's like people can. I do agree in certain regards that there are certain biologic considerations. I mean that human beings do have, they do still have canine teeth, and I do know that certain. You can make the argument, of course, that like, you know, like the totality of protein can be consumed via non-meat sources. But I think that there's also a lot of literature that does suggest that meat-based amino acids are still very important for people. So that's kind of one of those things. But when you just sit there and say just like, well, you know, I do it because food chain, and I'm at the big of it, and yeah, and it's just like, you it's make dumb. It's like you're not helping. You're not helping. You're just, again, it's that whole thinking that you're better. And here's the thing, there's an elitism, even if you are part of the overwhelming majority, which I believe that meat eaters are. But it's kind of like that whole, I remember seeing, oh gosh, this one's going to kind of go all over the place, but I'm trying to articulate a point. And there was a show, I can't remember what it was, and okay, this is going to seem like it's completely unrelated, but it is kind of, in a certain way, related, kind of, sort of, to the general idea of the point that I am ultimately trying to make, which honestly I'm using the whole meat-eating discussion as, because it's not so much about the actual topic of eating meat, it's actually more about the topic of people and how people can start getting kind of just really just full of themselves. Hypocritical shitbags. All right. But it was this, I can't remember what it was. It was a show. Well, I don't know what the name of it, but a bunch of families, they went from living just normal modern lifestyles to then they had to go and they had to live like a pioneer style kind of life. And it was legit. Like they were out, living in log cabins for months at a time. Like they had to be out there in the winter. And then you had different types of families. You had different families with different ethnic backgrounds. You had different families, socioeconomic backgrounds. Okay. All right. Nice. Wow, that was loud. But it was an interesting show, and they basically had folks like you know, they were out there with their, again, they took their families. It was nuts. And they had to survive. They had to survive, and then they would get chronicled. They would have, you know, the camera crew would come in every once in a while and interview them. But yeah, they were out there for a long time. And there was this one family where the father, the guy, he was like a fairly successful businessman. He was a business person, and their family was pretty well off. I mean, we're talking, I think that the individual was raking in, you know, multiple $1 million, multiple seven-figure income, I believe. So multiple seven-figure income. The family came from like very well-to-do kind of circumstances, and they actually had a pretty good like go of it. Their family structure was very strong, I will say. And then there was this lady, there was this other family, and they came from a little bit more kind of like, you know, meager circumstances, probably just more, I would say working class, not poor by any means, but just kind of middle class. But that the mom, and it wasn't like it wasn't anyone else, but the mom of that family, like, she had it out. She would just dig at the more well-to-do family every chance that she got, and she would basically say just like, well, they're not doing things right, and I'm doing things better, and they're not. Like, what are they trying to do? Like, I have to feed this many people, and they're not doing it. See all the, and she's opening up like this cupboard that she has, and she's pulling out all these cans of food. Like, I don't understand why they're having, like, because they're just going hungry at certain times, and they're not being able to, and I'm able to do this, and it was like this really weird. This weird kind of thing. And I'm like, lady, calm down. But there was almost like this deep-seated disgust, this disdain, that I guess that she had. And sometimes I can think that people can get so kind of invested in that kind of everyman kind of thing. Ah, look at that! Look at it! They can get so, that's, you see that, like, especially when don't get me wrong, hi, I'm trying to think of other examples. Oh, you know, like certain I guess when oh, look at this cute guy. Hold on. Look how handsome he is. Look how handsome he is. Oh my goodness, are you being cute? Are you being cute? Are you being... Oh my gosh, look at you. But you see, like, certain things as far as, like, maybe like the, even like certain, like even comedians or whatever. Hi. People who do appeal to kind of, you know, more, gosh, what's the thing I'm talking about? Like, even like when like the big kind of blue collar wave was taking place, you know, and I like I love the blue collar guys. Like, Ron White is actually one of my favorite comics. But there was like other comics I remember hearing and seeing like during that time, and it's like, yes, there's a difference. To me, there's a difference between being kind of proud of the fact that maybe you don't come from, like, you know, the most sophisticated of circumstances, or you did come from maybe a lower socioeconomic rung, or, you know, there's that whole kind of like embracing, like, you know, your redneckedness, which is as Jeff Foxworthy would say, and I agree with this, a glorious lack of sophistication, which I think is a fantastic and a very smart definition of it. And don't get me wrong, I like that kind of salt of the earth, you know, like, hey, what is that lunch pail Jimmy kind of, you know, just like, hey, you know, I'm just a simple kind of guy kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I identify with a lot of that to a great degree, but I think sometimes you can have people who they get so far into the self-identification. And this is the other thing, isn't that because, like, a lot of times the working class type stuff, they try to kind of go against, what is it, the identity politics, you know, that you find in a lot of different circles. And you're also going to be talking about the nature of you know, like vegetarianism or veganism. That seems to probably be a little bit more onto, like, the more left or progressive end of the spectrum. But it seems to me, though, that if you're basically saying, you know, like, well, I'm this and whatnot, and look at all of these, you know, Silicon Valley, like, left coast sophisticates trying to tell me how to live my life. I'm just a normal working class Joe. Regular person, and these people, they are just so dumb, and look at how dumb they are. And I see that, and it's just like, you're kind of doing the same thing as, like, the people who are, you know, kind of emulating. And I come from a flyover state. I come from Wisconsin, and I always hate it when you would hear people in New York or Los Angeles basically talking, just absolute talking shit about people who come from like the middle of the country and thinking that people from the middle of the country are dumb yokels. Like, I hate that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I hate both sides of it. I hate people, you know, from more kind of, you know, open-minded and progressive kind of, places, you know, or mindsets, trying to sit there and say just like, oh, well, you know, like, oh, you dumb rednecks and kind of thing. But I also, like, on the other side, like, I hate people who kind of like who identify more as like salt of the earth types, working class types. I hate when they're basically just sitting there saying just like, well, these ultra just liberal whatever things, and I can't, like, I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it. I don't. That to me, it's the definition of just identity politics. Don't like it. Give me substance. Give me actual substance. Let me hear your ideas. And why? It's like you're just looking at archetypes of people. Like, you're just looking at archetypes of people. Like, going back to that show kind of thing. That whole kind of thing where it's like, yes, okay, they seem to probably do well for themselves, but is that, like, people will, like, look at that as an excuse? I don't know, to just, like, automatically just hate on them? And I've known people who are well off, who are some of my favorite people, who are some of the nicest and the kindest people. And then, yes, I've also known other people who are well off who are absolute dickheads. It's like, it's the same as just people. I think that sometimes people just get caught up into the whole notion of class distinction, and then and people get tribal, and as soon as you start getting, when you start getting tribal, that's not good. That's not good. And I think that that's kind of what I was ultimately trying to get to when I was talking about like what that pro-veganism or anti-veganism kind of content or stuff. And it's like I see more people who like want to just readily shit on people who say that they're vegans than actual vegans talking about being vegan and how and trying to kind of get other people to maybe kind of see things from their point of view, you know. And then it's just maybe you'll see a couple people who they talk about the whole vegan thing, and then it's like a bunch of people are just like, well, let me go ahead and do some other comments to basically make it like, I want to show you how much better I am, you know, than all these other people. And it's like, ugh. It's like you're just as annoying as the thing that you claim to just hate, as the thing that you say is just like what you're trying to rail against. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, even if there is someone of that vegan variety that does want to try to get people, like, I don't mind it. I really don't. I don't mind them trying to basically talk about their beliefs and talk about like the ethical reasons for why they do what they do. And I like if you're going towards that whole kind of thing where it's like, look, you have to understand. Excuse me. I would say the overwhelming majority of people who do ascribe to veganism, the ethical consideration weighs very heavily into that decision. I would say that I would put money on that. So when you're talking about that and you're talking about someone's deep inner convictions, like I don't fault or blame someone for trying to again, to proselytize, to talk about it. And that's one of those kind of things. If someone's just talking, as long as they're not doing that what's his face, the guy that was actually like blowing up places, or as long as they're not actually inflicting violence on other people and stuff like that, then I don't mind anyone saying anything. Like, that's a sticks and stones may break my bones, but words should never hurt me kind of argument. And if people honestly are going to get that bent out of shape about someone wanting to basically talk about an ethical consideration for how that they're going to like actually source their food, and but a lot of times they're the same people that say like, well, you know, these snowflakes want to sit there. It's like, you're being a snowflake, you fuck. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So it's like, I don't mind it, even though that's technically it's not how I will personally view the world. Like, I have no problem with it. I have no problem whatsoever. And I will say, even like the folks, to their credit, I will say that the viewpoints that I've even heard in certain places, it has had some sort of like an effect where, you know what, I will say, because I'll look at like the factory farming kind of thing, like, yeah, if it wasn't for people probably sitting there saying like, hey, this is kind of messed up, and then wouldn't have caused me to kind of really look into it and be like, yeah, that is kind of messed up. Let's see if we can kind of change our habits so that maybe we don't promote this as much. So yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. People just, people just get full of themselves. No matter what side of the coin that you find yourselves on, no matter if you're right or if you're left, if you're up, down, whatever, doesn't matter. Liberal, conservative, authoritarian, libertarian, doesn't matter. People, they use that. There's nothing. I would say that it's not so much of the problem of like kind of espousing or having a certain kind of like either class identity or like a political identity or whatever your feelings about things identity. There's nothing wrong with having identity kind of things, I think. But gosh, when you use that as the basis to just start really kind of shitting on other people, I just think that I don't know. I just don't like it. I wish that you would be better. I wouldn't say, like, I had to catch myself. I was about to say just like, you're a piece of shit. Well, that's also me. That would have been me being like, I'm using reason. That makes me better than you. And I don't judge people. That means that I'm better. You see what I'm saying? It's easy to do it. It's easy to do it. I try to be as reasonable as possible. I'm not perfect. I'm not. I certainly don't claim to be. So, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to talk about all this, but whatever. Fancycast. Anyway, you fucks. Well, we'll see you later. Oh, man. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.